Welcome, patrons. It's been a while. It's just been busy, and I was sick, and just a whole lot of fun stuff that's been going on. So it's been a while since our last video. So before I go back to what I was planning to do, I got a few messages and comments from people asking about a very specific topic, and I wanted to review it. So, one of the scariest things to most people in Thetis is possession, losing your body and mind to something that will hurt everything and everyone you love. So let's take a moment to talk about the mechanics of possession as we understand it and examine if perhaps not all possessions are made equal. The basics. There's a lot to consider when thinking of possessions, so let's start with the most basic of questions. Who or what can be possessed? Obviously, mages can be possessed and are the most common type of possessed being, but non-mages and even tranquil can as well. They just don't normally have the opportunity. But demons can possess really anything. Animals, plants, corpses, even objects can serve as a vessel for some spirit. So, with them being able to possess anything in the world, why do they seem to focus on mages? Well, if you could only operate in the world through a vessel, what would you choose? A human with abilities similar to your own, which can also be extremely powerful, or a suit of armor? Most people would choose the mage, and demons think the same way. Usually the possessed animals, corpses, and objects tend to be because of minor spirits getting confused and trapped. So far in the series, most of the more intelligent spirits and demons we have come across that seem to inhabit anything other than a mage has done so by force, like the possessed Templars in Dragon Age 2 or Witherfang in Dragon Age Origins. So then you ask, are all possessions bad? Well, no, it just seems like most of them are. There are people like Wynne who are possessed for years and live fairly normal lives without losing control. We met one such possessed person in the Jaws of Hakon DLC, where you find out that Avar shamans have actually been possessing and unpossessing themselves with spirits for generations without much damage done. But this obviously seems like a rarity in Thetis, and positive possession is the exception, not the rule. Even possession that start out as positive can easily turn dangerous, like Anders. So let's say you get possessed. Is there a way to get unpossessed? Yes, but it seems to vary on a lot of things, and I don't think the lore is that hard on an actual answer. Once in Dragon Age Origins, and another time in the Book Asunder, a demon was exorcised from a host via the Fade. I see a lot of people complain that this is often forgot about in the series as a way to get rid of demons, but I think it's more complicated than people make it out to be. First, is that it's a very expensive spell. You either need the blood of one whole person or a lot of lyrium, both of which isn't normally something you have on hand or willing to give up. Now, this also brings to mind how Marithari brought Hawk and friends into a waking dream. The game is frustratingly vague on what exactly she does, but two parts of her explanation stand out. One, that it's an ancient elven spell that she has tried her best to recreate, and two, that for it to work, the person going into the Fade has to have ties with the victim, and the place where they sleep needs to also have ties with the victim. Interestingly, the victim themselves do not need to be in the location, as Fenrir is either in the Circle or the Dalish camp when the quest happens. While, in theory, she could also use a ton of lyrium, it was never mentioned in the quest, so we can't rule out the possibility that there is another way to be able to keep your mind in the Fade. But the point is, it isn't well known. And to be honest, Fenrir isn't possessed. He's just being held by spirits, which apparently is different. I don't know. So we aren't technically sure if this process would work for possession, although one would think it could. There are also other times in the series where someone has been brought into the Fade by magic from demons, and even once from what seems to be Darkspawn magic. But that does seem like a normally unattainable way to enter the Fade, so I'm not going to include them as options. But in theory, you could ask a demon to send you into the Fade so that you could exorcise another demon from someone else. Second, is that it's not like the spells are something that the common mage would know. The spell itself is to help one become aware enough in the Fade to navigate it and find the demon who is possessing the victim and kill it. Now, something to ask. Could a mage who is a dreamer easily free a person from possession? And maybe they could. It has not actually been shown in the games yet, but as far as I can tell, there isn't anything stopping someone from doing this. There also seems to be another way to get unpossessed, as shown in Jaws of Hakon. You learn that all young mages take in a spirit teacher to help them in the ways of magic. Once they have learned, the mages say goodbye in an offering. From what we learn in game, it seems that mages go alone, somewhere, take a vial of lyrium, burn an animal offering and a stick of incense, then they are able to release the spirit. But there does seem to be a catch. It is possible for this ritual to fail, and those that fail are exiled from their hold. In the case of the woman you meet in Jaws of Hakon, she didn't want to lose her only friend and chose to stay possessed, not completing the ritual at all. So while it seems like an easy way to get unpossessed, I don't actually think it would work for someone like Anders or Connor. The theory. I'm putting this under a theory as it's not like it's stated outright, but I do think that not all possessions are made equal. Take, for example, Connor and Anders. When you go into the Fade, Connor is just Connor, running around and being scared, along with a lot of fake Connors made by the demon, the actual demon you meet on your own and can defeat. But when you take Anders along in the Fade in Dragon Age 2, Anders is Justice. Anders the man is not present in the Fade at all, and you only talk to Justice, who is taking Anders' form. Anders tells Hawk that it's not possible to separate him and Justice anymore, as they have become too intertwined, and I don't think he means that lightly. I think this means that there are different levels of possession, some more serious than others. Anders is not only possessed, but he has become a new person. But while Anders' really close possession is unstable, I don't think that means all close possessions have to be like that. Take, for example, Flemeth. Now, I'm not actually sure if this counts as possession, as a small piece of Mythal that she carries might act differently than a spirit possession, but as far as we know, it acts very similarly. Flemeth carries the memories of Mythal, and when she talks of them, honestly seems to carry the feelings that Mythal herself has. But most importantly, when it seems that piece is taken from her, she dies. Now, granted, we have no idea what Solus does here. We have no idea what she puts in the mirror, so this is all a guess. And it's not like we haven't killed her before, but at the very least, Flemeth and Mythal have combined in such an intimate way that they are functionally the same person, much like Anders and Justice. And that, dear patrons, is all that we know on possession. Do you still have lingering questions, proof that I'm wrong, comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at @Gildathon on Twitter or send a PM to user Gillanon on Reddit. All.